Hello, everybody. Just want to make sure we have sound. You're here at the How to Stop All Chronic Disease and Reverse It if you have any of them. So give me a thumbs up if you can hear the sound and see my face. I've got indications here that I've got good signal. I got video and sound is going. All right, let's get right to the program. Take it off me, and there you'll have the screen that says how to stop all chronic disease and reverse it if you have any of them. I know that you want to hear my story. This is some information and stuff that you want to hear. You want to hear my story because we are more alike than you may think that we are. And you want to hear my story because you're all going to die a terrible, horrible death if you don't. Now, it's not because some terrible calamity is going to come to you because you didn't listen to my webinar, but there's some real risks that are out there, and none of us want to die. Even though we all know that we will die someday, but we don't really want to be there when it happens, right? We want to live forever. And that's why you want to hear my story, because we're much more alike than you think that we are. Now, I lost, or this person here, I got a picture out of sequence, doing a little changes to my webinar. The person in the photograph that you'll show, it's a woman. She lost 120 pounds in 14 months on our program. That's one of the reasons why you want to listen to my story and what I have to say. And who is this program for? Who should be listening to this program? Well, it'd be anyone that has a chronic disease and you want to keep it that way. You don't want to have any chronic diseases. And if you do have a chronic disease and you want to get rid of it, that's who this program is for. So if you know someone that has that situation, has a chronic disease, you need to invite them to come back next week. Now, you're going to learn what a chronic disease is. We're going to go through it. You're more familiar with it than you think that you are. And I know that you don't know me. I'm not famous. I am not politically powerful, and I don't have my own reality show. That's not why you're going to want to listen to me. I'm not saying that we're exactly twins. We're not the same, but 80% of the people on this call had the same problem that I had. That's why we are so much alike. At least the CDC says that we have a lot in common. Their studies show that we're very, very much alike. We don't want to die a terrible, horrible death. In fact, we'll do more to avoid pain than we will to get pleasure. Even if that's good for us, we'll avoid pain rather than going after the things that are pleasurable for us. That's just something crazy about us human beings. That's just something that is different from us and the animals. Now, my goal for this web class, this webinar, is I want you to, understand the only way for you to identify why you have a chronic disease or less than a perfect health is to find the cause of it by the 3Believe microbiome testing. That's one. The second thing is the only way to effectively test your microbiome is through Believe. And I'm going to explain why I can make such bold statements of that. Part of the reason why is I am a food scientist that specializes in the treatment of chronic disease, overcoming it with natural means, and what caused it. How do we overcome it? I actually train doctors and clinics of how to do that, how to have their patients overcome chronic disease so it's not part of their life. And that's a reason why you want to hear my story and why we're so much alike. Another reason is if you live here, macro food groups, which is carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. We have some of all. Now, I may eat something different. I may love sauerkraut, and you may hate broccoli, but as a whole, we're all eating about the same thing. Some of our foods will have proteins and fats in them, and some other foods will have all three. It'll have carbohydrates and fats and proteins. There's a mixture of them. The foods that you and I get are all essentially the same thing. They're coming from the same food factory. I'm just reading some messages here. The sound I have is going good. Okay. Check your, shut down any other, if you're having a little problem getting sound, shut down any other web browsers you have on your computer, because they're competing for bandwidth. They're competing for access to your sound and to your video. So shut down everything else except for this webinar, and you'll have better sound. What I was talking about is we all eat food from the same factory. Now, I know that you eat a different brand than I do, but essentially the processing method of that food is all done the same way. And that's why I can say that we all eat about, well, the same kind of food. And those all come from the carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Now, the CDC says that the average American eats 51% of all their calories from carbohydrates. So if you ate 1,000 calories a day, 510 of them are coming from carbohydrates. 160, 16% are coming from protein, and 34% are coming from fat. That's what the average American is eating. Another reason why you want to follow and listen to this program is because we're going to talk about the 3 secrets. We're going to give you some keys, some codes of something called macro balancing. Why you want to know anything about macro balancing, why it's important for you. Let me prove my point this way. The CDC tells us that the average American eats 2,526 calories a day, and yet we burn 3,105 calories a day. We're actually in a caloric deficit. We burn more than we take off by 579 calories every day. Now, in 1 pound of fat, there's 3,500 calories. If you just simply multiply that or divide that into the 3,500 calories, we should be losing a pound of fat every 6.6 days. Now, is that happening? We eat less calories in than what we're burning, and we should be losing weight, right? Let me put it this way. Let's take that instead of calories and do it in money. If you were earning $2,526 instead of calories, and you were spending $3,105 a month, oh, what is happening? This is bad, right? You're spending 579 calories a month more, dollars or more every single month. How long is it going to take you to go bankrupt? Not very long at all. And even though we're eating less calories and we're burning, you don't see any special reports being put out saying that the government is offering free food programs to eat more because our men and women are getting too skinny. We're losing too much weight. We're not being healthy. Now, you're not seeing those programs because that's not what's happening. Now, we've heard this adage, and it's great advice, is that if you continue to do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten, right? However, your body doesn't know that saying. In other words, if you continue to do what you've done, right, which is continue to eat all your carbohydrates, 51% of your calories from carbs and 16% from protein and 34% from fat, you're going to continue to get what you've always got, right? And that's not a good thing. And let me explain why that's not a good thing. Why this is not good. This is the reason why you want to hear my story. That's why you want to hear about the 3 secrets, right? So here's a picture of my life. My everyday life before I was almost morbidly obese, which means that I'm 100 pounds overweight. There's a picture of me. My joints hurt all the time. I was 44 years old at this picture. I had a stomach ache all day long, every day. It's just something I lived with. And I had headaches all the time. I just stopped taking aspirin. And I had no energy. These are just common common symptoms. I was grumpy all the time. In fact, I had a company where my employees would offer to buy me lunch. Not actually buy me because they didn't want to get yelled at, but they'd offer my secretary and say, "Is Jason has he had lunch yet? I don't want him yelling at me." I didn't realize how much it affected me. These are just some of the things that I had in my life was like. My blood pressure was high. I had high cholesterol. I had high blood pressure. I had other issues. I didn't know it at the time of these things, but I would soon find out that they were really bad for my health. Now, can you relate to any of these things? Have I mentioned any of these things that are similar to yours? That is the reason why you want to hear my story, because what I used to be is not what I am now. Okay? You want to hear my story because you don't want to die a horrible death. And being those kind of conditions, those kind of health risks, definitely shortens our life, and the 3 secrets will help us overcome so that we don't have them. You want to hear the story because the CDC says that 80% of Americans have at least one chronic disease, which is terrible. The 3 secrets will provide us how to overcome it. The first secret is your microbiome and how to grow it, how to make it healthy. Now, the second one is how to fix your pancreas and your liver. That's the second secret. The first is your microbiome, and the second is your pancreas and your liver. The third is intermittent fasting and how to do it for immediate results. Those are the 3 secrets that we're going to go over tonight. If you've been struggling with any of the health risks, this is probably why. These are probably the reason. One, the first is your microbiome. And what is it? And you probably wondering, why do you even care? It sounds like a technical term, sounds like something that that you don't want to know more about because it's science, right? But it's very, very important. Microbiome is being hailed by the medical and scientific community as the biggest breakthrough of science in the last 100 years. Not the last week, not this month, not the year, the last century. That's how big microbiome. Now, microbiome just basically all the bacteria in our bodies and on our bodies. That is what microbiome is. 80% of your immune system is dependent on how strong and how diverse the quality of your microbiome. All right. There are different types of microbiome in our body. Your microbiome teaches, this is where we're just learning, that your microbiome teaches your immune system what to defend against, what germs and bacteria and viruses to go out and kill. And better yet, it teaches them how to fight it and how to kill it and how to get rid of it. That's the power and importance of your microbiome. Second one is how to fix your pancreas and liver. We're going to go over why those 2 master organs are so important. There's 2 master hormones in our body. That means that every other cell in your body receives the commands of insulin and glucagon. One is night, the other one is day. They are opposites of each other. They tell your cells different things. And your body's supposed to balance between the right amount of insulin and the right amount of glucagon throughout the day. Right? Back and forth, telling your body everything. Now, why do you care about that? Because the reason you care is your liver is basically your factory. It is the place where you get your energy. It's the place where you burn fat. If you have fat that you want to burn, it's something that you want to know more about, because that's where it happens. Then your fat cell doesn't burn down on your legs if you want to lose fat there. It actually has to transport to your liver, and your liver breaks it down. You need a healthy fat liver, and if it has too much fat, if it's clogged up with waste, then it isn't able to produce the energy for you effectively. All right. The pancreas, that's the other organ that we're going to talk about, and it regulates so many master hormones and influences of the other things of your body. You don't want to have too much insulin because it tells your body to store fat instead of burning fat. That is critical. and we'll talk about the importance of that. Whether you're older, whether you're younger, whether you want to have more energy or you just want to take it to the next level, intermittent fasting is a scientific reality, and doing it properly is more than just going without a meal here and there. All right. There's actually some science to it. There's a method to it. And that's what we have. For example, studies are just coming out that using the intermittent fasting effectively can actually lower and control your fat thermostat. I had a terrible time. I lived at the gym trying to lose the weight. Nothing would work. And I know how to work out. It wouldn't matter what I've had. If you've ever had that experience, you're all the time at the gym, the weight scale is not moving, you're getting stronger, or if you go on special diets, you're religiously following it, and then you don't lose the weight after all the price that you've paid, you scratch your head, give up, and wonder why. Part of the reason why is we are all born to have a certain amount of body fat. So when I was born, I was designed this much. And when you were born, you're designed to have that much. Every single time we go on a diet, or rather we gain weight, then we go on a diet, and then we gain that weight back, they found that our fat thermostat, how much fat we're supposed to have, actually goes up. They know that happens, and yet they don't exactly know why. The challenge has been till now is how to get it back down to where it once was. Resetting your thermostat can be done very effectively through intermittent fasting. Let me show you some pictures of me. All right. So on the left side is me. I'm not at my perfect weight yet, but this is right in the middle. Before intermittent fasting, you'll see on the left is that I had some fat. I lost 30.6% of the fat I had after intermittent fasting. Nothing else changed. Right now, just to kind of zoom in, look at some of the detail of the fat loss on the back. All right. I lost 13.5 pounds of fat, but 30% of the fat that I had. My muscle actually went up. Look, you can see my vein on my left arm actually showing out more. I did the same kind of workouts as before, as after. It just everything leaned out. And it kept on going. You can see more and more definition of the difference between just simply 13 pounds of fat, all due to intermittent fasting. I couldn't do anything. I was not able to lose any other weight, same exact diet, and yet I did some intermittent fasting and it changed everything. My hydration even went up 6.5% from before. You can even see the V shape coming back into my body. Zooming in there, there's some measurement. You can see if I zoom in there, look at that big red arrow at the top and look at the arrow on the right side. So that arrow before is where my fat would be on my side. That's how far out it went. Look how drastic that is. My body weight went down 7%, but my fat amount went down 30%. It's not about losing weight. It's about what kind of weight are you losing. Here's another picture you can see of a side angle. Again, the same kind of diagram. If I go in close, you'll see the arrow on the before. Look how much thicker I was. Again, all through intermittent fasting. My muscle went up almost 6%. All due to this scientific approach. So there's a picture of me at 18 years old. I did some wrestling, some football, and some track. And there I am at 56 years young. Not that much difference from where I was, or very much different from where I was 80 pounds ago. So those are the three secrets that we're going to learn more about. And I want you to understand who this works for. Well, it worked for someone that's 56 years old that wants to feel 18 again. It worked for mothers wanting to lose stubborn baby fat. It worked for business people that don't have the time to mess around with a diet and prepare their foods or go to the gym. People that hate to work out, it's for them too. And it's for people that love to work out. It's people that have chronic diseases. And it has people that are super healthy, and they just want to take it to the next level. In other words, it works for all types of people, well, except for the Walking Dead. It doesn't work for them. They've already lost it. This will not bring you back from the dead. And that's why you want to hear my story, because we're very much alike. You have gone from either a weight that you were at, you ideally before, to a weight you're not exactly like, or you were healthy and then you went to a position of less health. Here's that picture of the lady. I said she lost 120 pounds in 14 months, just simply following the program, the 3 secrets that I'm giving you tonight. What a huge difference. Doesn't even look like the same person. All right. Here's some more testimonies, because it's more than a weight loss program. It's a wellness program. The 3 secrets talks about how to control this example. Let me read. I lost 68 pounds. I had high blood pressure and my doctor wanted to give me meds. Now I'm at 112/77, which is perfect blood pressure. I had gastric reflex and on high cholesterol medication. During the first week, I lost 10 pounds. By the second week, my blood pressure dropped. Now I feel more energetic. I sleep with no problems, except I never want to get out and stay there longer because it feels so good. Where before I tossed and turned. My left knee no longer is giving me any pain. Here's another testimony. After 40 years of age, I started to gain weight. Does that sound familiar? I went from 148 pounds to almost 200 pounds. That was when my friend told me about 3Believe. I was very skeptical, but I didn't have any other option, so I decided to give it a try. I got my energy back, my health back. I honestly feel as if I've gone back 20 years in time. I feel like I want to wrestle Jason Whitney. I'm Jason Whitney. He wants to wrestle. We'll have to make the match. I was prone to high and low blood pressure as well as diabetes. Then I went to the doctor after taking and following the meal plan for a month and a half. She told me that my health was perfect, and she asked me if I wanted to model at meetings to encourage other people to lose weight. See if there's any other. Here's another great testimony. For the last 10 years, I've struggled with weight gain, a lack of energy, sore joints, and belly fat. My cholesterol levels and weight kept inching up year after year, and my blood sugars were at the pre-diabetic to diabetic range. I wanted a long-term solution to my weight problems and I had a lack of energy. Last year, when I had my blood test, blood pressure, my doctor weighed me. Then I realized I needed to make some changes to my lifestyle or I would be a diabetic or worse, have a heart attack. 2 weeks into the program, I realized I had more energy. After a month, my joints no longer ached and I was actually losing weight. I then was really excited about the product and continued on the program. I no longer crave sugary foods and actually do not like them when I taste them. Now, several months later, I've lost 40 pounds. My blood sugars are in the normal range. My blood pressure has returned to normal. I'm losing more belly fat and I have energy and on my way to optimum health. Now, do you see that this is so much more than just a weight loss program? That's what you get with the 3 secrets. I underwent Whipple surgery for duodenum cancer 3 years ago, removing 1/3 of my pancreas. Oh my goodness. Gallbladder, my pyloric valve, and 15 inches is my small intestine. Oh, poor guy. My GI system has been challenged and digesting many different foods has caused much discomfort. I'm 66 years old and want to finish life strong and healthy. After starting the 3Believe Wellness Program, I lost 28 pounds, 4 inches in the waist, and gone down to an XL shirt size. After some things I've noticed, I am sleeping better and started walking at a much faster pace. I look forward to continue with a lifetime of using these products. These are just some of the testimonies that I've gone through. What I wanted you to notice is that it's just highlighting this individual, he was taking 80 units of insulin a day and then no longer is taking it at all anymore. His blood pressure has gone down. He's feeling healthier. These are the types of things or reasons why you want to hear my story, because it's their story and we don't want it to be your story. And if you're suffering any of these things, then that's why you want to hear. That's why you want to know how I went from 280 pounds on looking like this and to looking and being and feeling so much healthier. Now, today I'm a food scientist. I specialize in the treatment of metabolic syndrome and overcoming chronic disease. I teach doctors in clinics across the country of how to take these practices and expand it to their patients. Back then, when I was in the pictures, I was a financial analyst. I sat at a desk all day long. I am now 56 years young, and I have much of the same health that I once had. There is report after report after report of what actually causes chronic disease. And they're talking about where it starts. Where my problem started was in my gut. It started with bad digestion. These newest reports that are just coming out are talking about how every single chronic disease starts in the gut. It starts there, and if it caught soon enough, it can completely and totally be reversed, and we no longer have them anymore. Believe it or not, if we give our body the right kind of mixtures of foods and micronutrients, it will take care of the work of what we need to do, and we can get back to our youth and back to where we once were. You weren't meant to be unhealthy. Now, when I was 280 pounds and 44 years old, weight wasn't the worst of my problems. I had all of these issues. I didn't know it, but I had over 10 chronic diseases. There's just a small sampling of what a chronic disease is. A chronic disease is something that too many people suffer. I had a fear. I didn't want to die too young or before my time. I was a child of a single mom that raised 6 boys. I was second to the youngest, and I had big brothers that, like a lot of younger brothers, they were always flexing their muscles, proving their strength and their toughness, and I was usually on the bruised and battered end of that muscle flexing. I have the scars to prove it. My fear that I had is I didn't want to die before my time. My mother was not healthy. She didn't follow a healthy lifestyle. She drank too much alcohol and she smoked, and she died when she was my age at 44 years old. I didn't want to suffer that same death. That's a reason why these 3 secrets saved my life and how they could very well save yours. That's a look and a picture of my everyday life. Can you relate to any of that? Do you know anyone in your family or a loved one that has any of these issues and that relates to them, complains about them? Do they have a fear of dying before their time, and they want to finish strong and see their children and their grandchildren grow up? So I went to my doctor. I wasn't feeling well. I was fearful. Oh, wait a minute. That's not my doctor. This is more like my doctor. All right. So I went to my doctor. I told him how I was feeling. He said, well, let's run through a full battery of tests. We're going to do blood test. We're going to do urine test. We're going to do heart test to see how what risk factors I have there. We're going to do a fat test to see how much fat I had. And that was not a good time. There was so much more fat. I had 75 pounds of pure fat on my body. That was not what I wanted to see. The worst test, I thought, was checking my prostate, but that was by far not the worst. They had to check it from the other end as well. You know, when they give us these tests, they should really throw us a party when we walk out of that torture testing room. The nurses, the doctors should throw a ticker tape parade. They should put us on a little podium and give us a medal simply because we finished the test. I think that if they did that, would actually have more people taking these tests to find out their risk factors. If you have any of these tests done and you see elevated numbers and they want to give you medication, that's a reason to be concerned. I was concerned and convinced that, well, the numbers can't be that bad because I really didn't eat junk food. Even though I was 280 pounds, I didn't eat junk food. I really followed a healthy diet all the way up to all my years in high school and up through college and the first years of my marriage. I just ate too much of them. As a kid, I ate these banquet pot pies, you know, the ones for 50 cents. I'd occasionally have my triple decker peanut butter and banana sandwich. That was a treat. And about the worst foods that I would have would be white bread toast with my mom's meat white gravy. I figured it to be a gourmet meal. When I grew up and I could afford a more elaborate meal, it wasn't that I ate poorly. It's just I ate too much and I ate too often. All right. Turning down seconds was not a habit that I followed. I was in denial. I looked in the mirror and what was showing back to me was not what my eyes were seeing. I was seeing my memory body of when I was an athlete and a stud. So it came time for the test results to come back. I went back to the doctor, but I had mixed feelings. I didn't want to go because I was afraid of what the test results might show, but I did want to go because I wanted to prove that there was nothing wrong with me and I was still a superstar, right? So the doctor said, you remember my happy, smiley doctor. He said, you have metabolic syndrome. Not the best bedside manner. And he didn't say anything else. I just waiting for him to say more. He said I had several other chronic diseases. And then it was silent. It was a terrifying moment. All I could think was that I was going to die a horrible death. You got to remember, my mother died when I was 13 years old. My father had left when I was 5. He died at 52 from a heart attack and a failing liver. And my mom dies at 44. That's the last thing that I wanted to ever have. That's why I tried to live a healthier life, never indulging in any alcohol or tobacco or drugs. And I was an athlete. I took it very seriously. But here I found myself at the doctor having some symptoms that I knew were not healthy, scared to death that I was going to end my life before its time. I actually remember asking my doctor when he said, you have metabolic syndrome and chronic disease. And I asked him, how long do I have to live? That's how terrifying it was for me. Was it really my end? That's the thoughts. Was I going to be like my mother? Was my children not going to know my children's children going to know their grandfather, just like my daughters didn't know their grandmother, my mom? Was I going to be living that same life? My doctor just laughed and said, you're not dead. Not yet. However, this is very serious. You need to take this serious, and let me explain to you why. Let me show you your test results. He pulled out a paper and said, here's your blood sugar, blood pressure, your cholesterol levels, and in your left column, that's you, and they're all bad. Over here in the right column, that's the highest number I want you to be, and you're high in every one of them. You failed all of the tests. Even the one you're supposed to be a high, you failed, you're too low, like the HDL. And then he said, this is what I need to do to get you into shape. You have type 2 diabetes. Your blood sugar level is 130. It needs to be at 80. You fail that one. I'm going to give you a drug for that. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but I knew I didn't want to take any drugs. Later, as I became a food scientist and studied this, look at the side effects that can come from taking diabetic medications. Look at this list. Look at the ones that are in red. There's some serious issues there. I didn't know this list then, but I knew I didn't want to take drugs for other reasons, mainly pride. But look at this list. These are things that are known side effects from taking diabetic medications. He didn't stop a beat. He went right on to blood pressure. He said, your blood pressure is 152/102, which is very bad. You should be much lower. And I didn't want to take medication for that either, but he gave me the script. Look at the side effects as posted by the World Health Organization that can come. Look at some of these. Kidney damage. I'm just trying to keep my blood pressure lower, and I can get digestive disorders, chest pain, depression, elevated. Actually, I'm taking blood pressure medication, and it will make my triglycerides and my LDL and my cholesterol, all of them go up? Wait a minute. How can a drug do that? But these are known risk factors. Then he went on to the cholesterol and said, well, you're high in your total cholesterol. You're high in your triglycerides and your HDL. That's the good one. You're low in that. Your LDL is low. Your ratio is low. You fail all of them. So he gave me a prescription for that. I later learned that these are all the side effects that come from taking medication to keep my cholesterol down. Look at the one down here on the bottom left-hand column, cholesterol. Well, I was terrified. 80% of Americans have at least one of the conditions that I had. Those are chronic diseases. Can you relate to any of these symptoms? And can you relate to the fear and anguish that I felt as he handed me those scripts? Now, he didn't forget about my digestive issues. He says, here, let's take care of that. I'm not quite sure what's wrong with your stomach ache, but let's give you a script for that. And it's very often that people get depressed. Let me give you something for you if you're starting to feel depressed. I said, no, thanks. I don't want any more medications. I walk out of the doctor's office with 6 prescription medications. And I later learned that 69% of Americans, 69% of the people on this call right now are taking at least one medication. Did you know that 20% are taking 5 medications or more? I walked out of that doctor's office with 6. Now I was 44 years old. Okay. What I really found terrifying is that 340 people die every single day. This is why you want to hear how to stop these issues. That's why you want to listen to my story, because these are 340 people every day. They're not overdosing. They're not taking crazy drugs. What they're doing is they're following the prescription that their doctor gave them correctly, exactly as the pharmacist says to take it. It's just an unwanted and uncontrolled side effect. 340 every single day. That's a reason why not to find, or to just let things go and to find a better way of treating medications. Medications today, 33%, as reported by the CDC, have a chance of causing serious reaction. 33% of all drugs, 3 out of 10 drugs, a serious reaction, right? And let me put it this way. It's kind of like, would you get in a car with Harry and Lloyd here that have been known to get in a car crash at least 1 out of every 3 times that they drive? So they drive 3 times, they're going to crash once, okay? That's the chance that we take when we get a new prescription. That's not what I, as an ex-old stud, wanted from my heritage. Now, I agree, it was my pride. It wasn't because of those numbers, because I didn't know them at the time. Championship titles under my belt. I was an all-state football player. I was an all-American. I later went on to compete in the World Championship Wrestling and was a world champion. This is what I felt like. I felt like even though I had these titles of the epitome of health, I felt like I had bad luck pressing down on me. There was no way for me to get out. I needed to change, a stroke of good luck. I went from world champion to champion eater, not a title that any of us want to have. I overcame all of them by administering these 3 secrets. And so can you, because we're much better or much more alike than you think that we are. I started my journey. After I left that doctor's office, I absolutely knew that there had to be a better way. There had to be some geniuses out there, scientific researchers that found a way to overcome these terrible chronic diseases without taking medications. I just believed it. I didn't know it. I just believed that it had to be so. I prayed about it. I hoped for it. That's true. But I believed that there had to be. So I started doing research over 18 months. Thankfully, I was self-employed, and I arranged my schedule, worked a little bit less hours, still putting in 16 to 18-hour days. I just split it up and spent 18 months, and I read 600 clinical studies of what researchers have identified as being the cause of these chronic issues. And more importantly, did they find an answer? And they found that it narrowed it down into these three secrets. How to overcome. Now, I put into practice what those studies told me and narrowed it down into three secrets. And look at my numbers after just 12 weeks. My cholesterol dropped by 49%. My HDL improved by 80%. My triglycerides dropped by 78%. My LDL, that's the L for lousy, L for low, that dropped by half. And my ratio, meaning how much good cholesterol I had to bad cholesterol, that improved by 65%. That was just in my blood. My glucose levels dropped. I didn't have to take, they were back down to normal levels. Instead of being 130, they were at 75 and 80 fasting glucose levels. My story is how I got chronic disease. The same disease that 80% of the people on this call have had or have at least one of those symptoms. I overcame all of them by just simply following the three secrets. It wasn't because I was a star athlete. It had nothing to do with that, as my ego was bruised. But thank goodness for all of us that that's not the requirement. You want to hear my story because America is more like me, and you are America, and we're all in this together. Americans are sick with chronic disease. Over 80% have it. It is growing at epidemic levels, and the good news is that it's completely and totally preventable. I actually turned back the times of him. I look younger now than I did when I was 41. I'm 56 years young, and my blood work proves that we can get back our health and our health again. This is what 197 pounds looks like today at 56 years old. Can you relate to any of these issues? Those are the reasons why these issues should be something that you think about, you consider and putting into your life. Now, what exactly is a chronic disease? Simply put, a chronic disease is a life-threatening condition that lasts for at least 3 months. So if it lasts at least 3 months, like let's say high blood pressure, you have high blood pressure for 3 months, it doesn't go up because you're watching the football game and your team's not winning, and your blood pressure is definitely going to go up. Well, you don't have that for 3 months. That's not considered a chronic disease. If you have blood sugar levels that go up and then they go back down, that's not a chronic disease unless it lasts for more than 3 months. Because the longer it lasts, the more risk that it poses on our life. Chronic diseases aren't all visible. You could see my chronic disease. I mean, look the size of my belly. How many did I have crammed into that tummy of mine? Most chronic diseases are hidden, like diabetes. You can't see it. Or like asthma. You can't see that's a chronic disease. It's hidden, as is COPD and depression, which is a chronic disease, as well as heart disease. All these are under the skin. You don't see those things. They're sneaking up on you. Here's just a short list of the chronic diseases. And 85% of those that are 65 years old have at least one chronic disease. That's numbers are getting too high. I wasn't 65. I was 44 years old, and I was one of the 85%. I had over 10 of them. I was in terrible, terrible shape. But in just 12 weeks, with no wrestling practice, thank goodness, I was able to overcome all of them. And by the way, I did it without exercise. I wanted to do it without exercise because I know that so many people won't exercise. I wanted diet just to be the solution. Boosting up my biome, my digestive flora, and diet. Now, there's other reasons that you want to consider not going down the chronic disease path because it's 5 times higher expense. You'll spend 5 times more than someone that doesn't have it. It's the number one cause of bankruptcy. It's not business, it's health. 25% of people with a chronic disease have some type of activity restriction, like not being able to play with your kids, not being able to push them on the swing because you're already out of breath. When I was in high school, I held the state record for bench press. I benched 465 pounds when I was 185 pounds. Just to visually give you what that looks like, you'd have to add 5 more plates to this bar That's 465 pounds. When I was 44, I couldn't even do a pull-up. Simply doing a sit-up was difficult. Sit-ups were a thing of the past. I'd roll out of bed, right? Tying my shoes, I had to hold my breath to tie my shoe because I couldn't breathe while I was compressing my lungs while I was bending over. It was terrible. Not the life that I wanted to live. It's scary to think that 3 out of 4 deaths that are happening every single day are caused by a chronic disease. And the secret is they're preventable. Wouldn't it be wonderful that if all our diseases were either by accidents, by genetic disorder, like, something's wrong with our gene, that's going to happen, but it's a very small percentage, or we die of healthy old age. That's what we want to go for. So do you have problems in your biome? Do you have any of the symptoms that I had? It's the number one health complaint. People are going to their doctors. Over 50% of people have stomach issues day by day. And studies show that you're absorbing, because your biome is so weak, you're only getting 47% of the nutrients that you're eating. They're there, but you're not getting them because of your microbiome. It's too weak. It is, as reported, the number one cause of these issues. Just to give you a glimpse of what your biome is, if you took all the biomes that are on and in your body and all of your human cells that makes you, me. So I have about 30 trillion Jason cells, human cells. I have 100 trillion microbe cells that are not human. They're hosts. We together make Jason Whitney. Now, think about this. If there's something that's a 10 to 1 factor, we have that many more than we have human cells. Shouldn't we pay more attention to that? Science is now revealing, they're so bold that they said that all chronic diseases start in your gut. You don't have to wonder anymore where it is. Remember at the beginning, of the program, I said how to stop chronic disease and reverse it if you had any. The answer is finding out where it is. It's in your gut. You got to find out how healthy your gut is. You don't need to just measure it by, do I feel well? There's actually a method now to be able to identify exactly what's wrong with your gut. They've actually found, and on average, a 90% cure rate of every one of these that are listed on this screen through correcting your microbiome. That's why they said, why the scientific community is saying it is the most important scientific discovery in the last 100 years. It will change humankind and how we deal with health more than anything else that we've ever had. You can overcome and cure chronic disease. Now, I want to be careful and make sure you understand. I'm not saying that if you buy our product, it's going to cure you of anything. What I am saying that science is telling us that we can cure chronic disease if we identify it in our microbiome and give our biome what it needs. That's what I'm saying, because scientifically it's identified that to be the case. Now, what you're going to see here in these film clips is, for the first time ever, there's almost 8 billion people on Earth. You are one of the few, very few, that actually see this. This is one of the groundbreaking discoveries that they had. What you're looking at here on the screen is a microbiome that's in your gut. That light that you see is an actual communication of neurons being lit up and being sent to the brain. And then that's where the brain is communicating back to the microbiome. That's why now they call the microbiome the second brain. Some are taking it so bold as saying it is truly the most important brain. And the one on top of our shoulders is our second most important brain. This is film clips of not animation. This is not drawn. This is actually what is happening every millisecond in your body and my body right now. The question is, what signals are being sent and how often are they being sent? We have different types of biome. You have some different ones in your stomach, different in your mouth, different on your arm, different in your bowels. The secret is, how are they all doing? Are they causing chronic disease because they're weak, or are they curing it because they're powerful? This is what I experienced by following this research, by following these symptoms. I reclaimed my health. That's a reason why you want to hear my story, because we're so much more alike than we may think. So now you know how, if you have any of those symptoms, how you got it, or what the cause is at the biome level. What else indicated is our cause? Well, you're looking at it right here. It's what we're eating in our ratio. This is not an argument about we're eating too much fat, we're eating too much protein, we're eating too much carbs, or not enough of another. What this is that we should have and can have all of these. We just need to have them in the right ratio. We need to have them in the right balance. And unfortunately, because of this food pyramid that so many of us are used to, we've been given the wrong information. The CDC knows it. When they started giving us our food recommendation, what they call the food pyramid, they've replaced it with the plate now, but it's the same concept. They told us that we should be consuming about 60 to 65% of our total calories from carbohydrates. That is actually the cause, or when they started increasing those over the last 40 years, you could track and follow that our blood pressure went up every time they increased it. They tell us to increase it to more carbohydrates, then our diabetics went up. When they increased it again, then our obesity went up. It was a direct correlation. There's no doubt about it. We don't need as much as we have. And that imbalance of proteins and fats and the wrong kind of fats and carbs is what kills off much of our microbiome. And then we get weaker, which causes our pancreas to go out of whack and our liver to go out of whack. And that is the challenge. So we've been doing this for the last 10 years, teaching doctors, them giving it to the patients. A very common average result is that people can lose. How much can you expect? Well, on average, about 5.2 pounds a week, 12 inches around your circumference in the first month, a 66% improvement in your biomarkers, things like your blood pressure and cholesterol, blood sugar levels, 82% of the elimination of drugs. Now, that's not 82% of the people. That means if you're taking 10 pills, you'll eliminate 82% of those 10 pills in the first 6 weeks of the program. If not eliminate them altogether. All of them at least feel better in the beginning of the program. You'll notice a change. It's a very simple program. It's eating at the right ratios, a little bit of testing to find out what your biome is so we know how to treat it. It is personalized nutrition for the first time. You're not going to go starvation on this diet. You're eating 4 meals a day, and it's very, very cost effective. How much is your health worth? How much are you spending on being unhealthy? On average, right now, this is an example of all the different diet programs. Now, you've got here an example. It was a study done by a third party that showed that when a person loses 30 pounds of weight, how much is it going to cost per pound to lose 30 pounds? Okay, and the top one there is $152. The next is $96. Going down to 49, Nutrisystems at 40, HCG was on this example is $30 on our program, is a third of the lowest one at $10.07 on average, and losing more weight at a faster pace. So you know now what a chronic disease is, right? Any life-threatening condition that lasts 3 months or longer. You know how you got it, by eating an imbalance of our proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, and having a weak and deficient microbiome. You know the 3 secrets of how they can literally, or how they did save my life, and how much the same we are. So I ask you, can I give you an offer? Can I share with you something, the very thing that changed my life? And I like to think that it's a very special offer. We have to find out what's wrong in your gut. That's what the studies show. When this study first came out, it cost $5,000. That is now a $2,000 value. Now, you're not going to pay with the value. I'm not going to suggest that you pay that much. I'm telling you what it's worth. We provide coaching that will tell you exactly what to do and how to do it. Now the total with meals, we're actually going to give you the food of the right balance of the carbohydrates, the fats, and the proteins. We're going to make sure that you're having exactly the right balance based on those clinical studies that was read. So far, we're at $4,700 value. This is what we provided, what the doctors sell it for when we sell it to them and they sell it to their patients. So just recapping, you're going to get your biome test. We got to know what's wrong, right? We got to know what direction to go before we go and start fixing things. You're going to tell you what to eat and how to eat it. And we're going to actually give you the food, all right? But it doesn't stop there. Once we get the biome test, we're going to tell you exactly what kind of enzymes that you're weak in. That's how we break down our food. And if they're not there, that's why we're not getting 47% of the nutrients of the foods we're eating. You're going to get a personalized probiotic plan just for you. We're not going to give you something that's just off the shelf, that's just random for everybody. They've identified that our microbiome is more individual than your fingerprint. It is so much more unique to your chemistry than anything else. In fact, one of the studies showed that they took twins, lived in the same home, born by the same mother and father, ate the same food, had the same activities, their body chemistry and their weight, their other biomarkers were exactly the same. They took a sample of the biome of each of the twins, sent them to the same lab, and their results were entirely different. It's like they were different people. So we're going to be different. You have to heal from a different perspective. That's what you'll get with the probiotic plan, your enzyme plan. And we're going to give you a personalized food list. You'll in there, you'll find out exactly what kind of foods you should eat and the foods that you shouldn't eat. So going back over everything, you're going to get your biome test, which is paramount. You got to have a test to knowing where we need to work first. Your coaching, the meal plan. You're not going to go hungry. You're going to have enough food for 3 meals a day for 30 days. That's 84 meals. You're going to have a personalized enzyme, personalized probiotic. You're going to know exactly what foods to eat and what foods not to eat based on your body chemistry. And we're going to give you a blood test. We're going to check your cholesterol. We're going to check your blood. We're going to check your triglycerides. We're going to give you a personalized evaluation because it can be a little highbrow. We're going to explain what it all means. We're going to give you training videos to know what to do when you reach some challenges and you don't know what to buy at the store or what ingredients you shouldn't have. So far, we're at a value of $8,200. Now, that's not what you're going to pay, but that's what our doctors charge when we sell the program to them. But it doesn't stop there. We're at $8,265. We're going to throw in some bonuses if you pick this up and get it tonight. We're going to give you flavored extracts. We want you to have variety in your food that we're giving you. So we're giving you a $30 value there. We're going to make sure that you have the right amount of electrolytes that is balanced in your body. And we're going to make sure that you have an oil pump because we're going to give you some oil, omega oils, and it's just an easy dispensing system to keep everything clean and measured right. That's the most important thing, is getting the right amount. You don't have to wonder, you don't have to weigh it, you don't have to use teaspoons. You just do 2 pumps and the pump takes care of it for you. Right? We're going to give you a shaker bottle so that you can mix up some of your protein shakes that we're going to give you for an easy, quick mixing, so you don't have to go out and find the best one. We're going to give you a body measuring tape. So you, like me, you can see how many inches you lost. You saw how much I lost in that intermittent fasting. You're going to see how much you lose and how fast you lose it. Sweeteners. A lot of us have sweet tooths. I'm one of them. But there's not good quality, healthy sweeteners out there. And those that are healthy, they don't taste like real sugar. And we're going to give you one that is all natural and tastes wonderful. We're going to give you some blockers that will block the unwanted carbohydrates and unwanted fats when you're out at your birthday parties, when you're out at a business meeting, you can't control the foods that you're eating. You don't know how many carbs they put in that meal. You don't know what effect it's going to have on your pancreas and your liver. So you take the 3B blocker, and that'll block it for you, and you don't have to worry about those individual moments when it happens. Now, that's not going to take the place of healthy meals. It's just great. It's like a seatbelt. Every time you get in the car, you want to be protected. Every time you go out to eat at a restaurant or go to a party, you want to be protected. That's what you get. That total value of $8,441. I know that it's expensive. I know that it sounds like, but that's what it costs to have the best nutrition. But you're not going to pay that. My offer to you is that you'll get all of this and you pay $797. That's a one-time fee. You don't have to pay for all that stuff again, but you're getting $8,000, almost $8,500 worth of stuff that doctors charge their patients that we've been given for 10 years, and it's less than $800. Okay, that is your to fix your health, to get you back on track, to solve the problem. Now, I realize that some of you may not be in a financial situation where you can afford $797. So we have another special offer that is almost half that. It is $395, still a tremendous value, $4,380. The only items you don't get are those that are grayed out. Now, unfortunately, you're not going to get the microbiome test. You're not going to get the enzyme plan and the probiotic and the food list and the food kill list. You're not going to get the intuitive eating. All right. Those are some of the things that you're not going to get in the plan, but it is going to be very effective and very, very helpful for you. All right. So let me just highlight why the special offer on the left is so much more important. Why is the biome? Why are the enzymes and the probiotics such a big deal? 10 years ago, when we started our program, we wanted to have personalized nutrition. We wanted and realized scientifically, we knew that everyone was different, but we didn't have the technology. Now, when I said we, not us as a company, as an industry, the scientific community didn't have the technology to be able to tell someone how and what they should eat. Our technology was only 12% accurate. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Even today, you'll see if you go out and talk about genome and you talk about biome, microbiome testing, these are some of the kits that you'll see. You'll see them ranging everywhere from $200 to $730 for a test. All right. Now, what's the difference in what we're talking about? These tests are testing for different things. They're testing different methods. Which method do you think is the most accurate? Now, these are all the tests here that you're seeing on the screen of where they check and see what kind of foods we should be eating. Should it be from our fecal, from our hair, what's in our mouth, through a saliva test? Do we send in blood, urine? There are some tests out there that will tell us you send in your blood and they'll go back to your ancestry to know where you came from, is your heritage. And your family members from 400 years ago are supposed to tell you what you're supposed to be eating? Well, you heard the story about the twins. They're different. That's not going to do us any good. So if you see any indications of what is the best method, the most accurate, scientifically proven method for determining which is the most accurate test out of all the ones on the thing, anything that just lights up, just one that kind of stands out more than any other, then go ahead and pick that one and you'll probably be right. These tests, as identified by studies, is telling us what we should be eating. And those tests, what we should be eating, will then give us the best you. That'll tell you what the healthiest you that's possible. That's the design of the test. All right. But as the test results come out as third-party testing, they're only 12% accurate. So in essence, you're wasting your money and time on those tests. Well, that's discouraging. But how do you know that what I'm telling you is accurate? Are they really 12% accurate? Well, let's check and see. Here's a third-party peer-reviewed medical clinical test that said that 80% false positive rate. So now the method that they're using, so if you go online and you say, look, Jason, I don't know the science stuff, so just simplify it for me. The testing they're talking about is called 16S RNA testing. All right. So they identify the test. They're saying that it's very popularly used. And then it says between sample diversity was also found to be highly exaggerated in many cases. They're just saying they're exaggerating how much different types of microbes are in your body. By how much? They're saying that 70% of the bacteria that they say is there isn't there. They're putting them in the wrong group. That's kind of like you pay VIP tickets for the Super Bowl and they're sticking you up in the nosebleed section. They're putting you in the wrong group. By how much? 70% of the people that went to the game were put in the wrong seat. And then they follow up and say up to 88% of the genius, that's what they call the microbiome, are false positives. That's terrible. They're admitting right there that therefore they're not reliable test results. This is why you have a 12% chance of being accurate. So, am I trying to give you a test that's 12% accurate? Absolutely not. I wouldn't do that for you. That's not what I would accept. That's why we didn't do it 10 years ago. That's why we're doing it now, because now the Los Alamos National Laboratory has discovered a new technique. Who are these guys? Well, they're the same group that back in 1943, they were known as the Y division of the Manhattan Project. They were all designed to build and create the atomic bomb. That's where the science, that's where Einstein worked. Out of that laboratory, funded by the government, but a separate entity, has come out some of the most groundbreaking research over the last 60 years. And that's where they identified and made the claim and proved it that all chronic diseases come out of the gut, and they have a technique that is 100% accurate. That's why I tell you that this test is absolutely imperative. It is so important. You don't have to pay $2,000 for it. You're getting it all included. For about the same price, you can get another test that's 12% accurate. But that's not where we stop. We'll also tell you exactly what kind of enzyme from probiotics that the test tells us you're weak in. If you're weak in them, then your immune system doesn't know how to fight those chronic diseases. It makes sense, right? That's why I say that this is the one that I recommend. And so for the first time in history, never before have we as an entire, not as a company, as a health community been able to provide a test for 100% accurate personal nutrition, just for Bob, just for Julie, and for Jason, and for the Roberts, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's out there. Never before. This is why we're so excited with this and providing you at this wonderful price. This test will tell you what's missing. It will be able to provide you with a sustainable lifestyle and an affordable rate. At the rate that you're getting it, it is less than $3.50 per meal. When's the last time you paid that little for a meal? Ongoing, it's $300 a month just for the meal plan, because you don't need testing every month. So I got to ask you, if you don't make this change now, you know now why you had the symptoms you had. The ones that were like mine. If you had, yep, I have high blood pressure. They have absolutely proven that if you continue to do and eat the way you've been eating to get high blood pressure, because it wasn't handed down by your grandparents. It started in your biome, okay, because of what you were eating. If you continue to eat that way, it's going to have other symptoms come along with it. Later on, you're going to get a fatty liver. Then a fatty liver, then you get high cholesterol. And then you get type 2 diabetes. Not necessarily in that order, but you're going to get other symptoms if you continue to do what you've been doing. It's not going to stay the same. They're going to get worse. Don't let them get worse. That's why we're offering at such a low price, just to have the testing done. And then later in the year, we can check it again to see if we need to make any changes. For the first time in history, this has never been able to have for you affordable, heal thyself healthcare. This is exciting stuff. So there's your offer. I appreciate you. Let me share my offer with you. If any of you just don't have the cash right now, then we have been qualified as a PayPal credit. They've offered where no payments for 6 months, no interest for 6 months. You get the plan. You don't have to pay anything up front now, and then you can just save up your money and start to pay that next month, or a little bit next month, or wait until 6 months. To do that, if you want to do that, all you have to do is tell me who referred you to this call and call that number. And then we'll show you how right there and there to apply for the PayPal credit and see if we can get that approved. And you won't have to pay anything right now. And if you want to use your credit card, then you can do that with 100% money back guarantee. I'll even go as far as that if you don't like the program, if you don't see what the things that I'm talking about, if you don't feel better, don't call the credit card company. I don't want you to have to deal with that. You call me. You call back to us and said, I didn't get the results. I don't like it. I'll call the credit card company and make them give the money back. You don't have to do that. You have me do it. You'll get your money back without any questions asked. Okay. So you have any of those feelings within the first 30 days. If you don't like it within the first 30, it doesn't matter if you wait till the 30th day and the 11th hour and the 59th minute. You call and we'll refund your money. I'll make the credit card company give it back. So you have the value of $8,500 for $797, which is the one that I would recommend because of the science that's now available. Or get the plan. Still, you get the 30 meals for 30 days. You get the blood test. You just can get the biome test. And if you wanted to use the PayPal credit for that one as well, then call the 866-832-3543 and we'll walk you through that. Remember to tell us who you were recommended or who referred you to this program. So looks like we have some questions here. My little assistant is pulling up some questions. And let's see if this little technique works, if others will come up. So the first one is someone's asking, I can't afford the $797 a month, but want to be healthy. Well, you don't have to do the $797. You get the $395. And you don't have to pay for it every month. Remember, that's just to get you started. Much of that testing is the cost is the testing. The blood test, the biome test, the follow-up, the second month is $300 a month. You still get the 84 meals, 3 a day. After your biome's fixed and we're giving you the right kind of foods, that's less than $3.50 a meal. You're not paying, you're paying more than that at McDonald's, and we know that's not healthy. We got another question. I'm 82 years old. Is it too late for me? Too late? No, some of the testimonies that you read tonight were people that were over 65. I know people that are 93 years old on this. I have a 98-year-old that's on the program. If you're still living, it's not too late for you. Is there a guarantee? Yep. Maybe you didn't hear. The guarantee is for the first 30 days. If you don't see any of the benefits, if you don't feel better, you call us back. We'll refund your money. You don't even have to call your card company. You don't have to deal with the bank. Any of that nonsense. You just call us. We'll get your money back, guaranteed. Can nursing mothers do it? Not now. I'm not your doctor. I'm a food scientist. You always want to talk to your doctor when you're doing a diet plan or a change in your diet, especially if you're a nursing mother or pregnant. But is it a contraindication? Is it unhealthy for a nursing mother to do this? Absolutely not. In every single meal, you're getting the equivalent as far as nutrition of over 30 pounds of fruits and vegetables and meats and cheese and dairy. Now, all that food isn't in that, but that's the equivalent of nutrients. You're getting 100% of your vitamins and minerals, all from natural food sources. So it's a wonderful thing. You're getting digestive enzymes and probiotics, which is what your microbiome is feeding on, and your baby needs that. Where is that baby getting that microbiome from? From the mother's milk. And if her biome in her stomach is not healthy, the baby's not going to get it either. Okay. Let's see. I don't need to lose weight. I have high blood pressure. Can it help? Absolutely. What causes high blood pressure is a dysfunction in the chronic disease in the gut, and then of course in the pancreas is out of whack. You read or you heard me read the testimonies about blood pressure in almost every case. Let's see. Here's an exercise. I run marathons, but can't get rid of my belly. Isn't that true? Here they're doing all the hard work. They're out there exercising. They're trying to eat right, but they have that little bit of belly fat still on their gut. That is very, very common, and I'm sorry about that. But why do you have that? Why? It's because one, your fat thermostat is set. And the third secret, we show exactly how to get rid of that, but also because your biomes are out of whack. Runners are some of them the most susceptible to bad gut because of the long endurance running, and of course they're carb loading before the run. That's one of the reasons why they have that. So a lot of very high level athletes will be in our program. Why doesn't my doctor know about this? Well, because we haven't contacted him yet. There's over 1 million doctors in this country, and we haven't in 10 years. That's a lot of doctors to get to. Just because the doctor doesn't know about it doesn't mean that that it's not healthy or it's not advisable. Remember, this is based on over 600 clinical studies. Every single thing in there is based on science. Many of the products that we have third-party clinical studies to prove its effectiveness and its safety. Let's see. I have been on so many diets. How is it different? Well, one is different is the testing. Again, we got to know what direction to go. If you and I went back to the old days and had a compass and a map, and they stuck us in the middle of the desert in Nevada and said, make it to California, a lot of us would get lost, right? So you got to know what direction to go, and that's what the testing. That's one thing that's different. The next thing that's different is it's a program that's medically proven. It's not a gimmick. It's not a fad. It's based on whole food, right? And it's all natural. There's nothing artificial. It's all completely natural, holistic ingredients. And then follow-up testing. Those are some of the major differences. Plus, we have a 10-year record working with clinics and hospitals. We're not just selling something on the shelf at Walmart. You can't find this at Walmart. We don't sell it to Walmart. Okay. Let's see. I just want to get my energy back and feel better. Boy, that's one of the first things I noticed. You heard some of the testimonies. The reason why you're not getting much of your energy is because you're only digesting 47% of your foods. Your factory of energy doesn't have it available. And so that is a very, very common thing that happened. Wow, it looks like will it help with my allergies? Well, we know that allergies are primarily caused because we have an immunity disorder. Remember, what does the microbiome do? It is at least 80% of the strength of your immunity. So ability to fight allergies are based on how strong your biome is. And if it's weak, if it's been killed off, what are the things that kill off a biome? Well, artificial light, drinking alcohol, too much coffee will kill it. Artificial sweeteners, definitely. When you go into the doctor and you get an antibiotic, oh man, it just plays havoc with your biome. It just kills it off. Stress will do it, and not refeeding your biome with the right kind of probiotics, they'll slowly die off. All right. We have a question here. Let's see. I have terrible arthritis. Could it help? Well, now she used the word cure me. Now we got to be careful. It's because we don't want to be in violation with the FDA. Nothing that I've talked about will cure you. None of it. But it will help relieve the symptoms that you're having. And for me, if I don't have the symptoms anymore, I don't care if it cured me or not. If I don't have symptoms, kind of like if you put my finger in a vice and you start clamping down and squeezing on that finger and it hurts and I'm going to, you're going to break a bone. And I'm asking about can somebody come and cure my pain in my finger? If you just come by and say, I'm not going to cure you, but I'm going to relieve the pressure and unscrew this vise, do you care? Symptoms gone. You don't have any of the symptoms anymore. You don't have any of the side effects anymore. Well, could it help with arthritis? Very much so, simply because your inflammation will be greatly reduced. And that's one of the reasons why arthritis begins, and how it can then cause problems on our muscles and our joints. I take Prilosec. Will it help? Okay, that's for digestive issues. Absolutely. That's like things like acid reflux and heartburn. And the problem with that is it's messing with your gut, killing off a lot of your biome. So GERD and stomach issues are almost completely relieved soon into the program. That's a very, very popular comment. This person says, I don't need to lose a lot of weight, only about 15 pounds. Will it work? I guess they're saying, will it work for them? Yeah, you don't have to be like me. You don't have to have 80 pounds of weight. You don't have to be morbidly obese. You don't have to be on death's door for this to work. I can't tell you how many athletes have come to me, runners and weightlifters and extreme athletes that do the CrossFit and the cross training, and they have that little bit of belly fat or the love handles, or they have a little fat under their thighs. It's not the exercise that is the main culprit or the lack of it. It is the diet and your digestive flora. It is your biome. So it would work wonderfully. It's really more about, let's fix why you can't lose that 15 pounds. Why is that such a sticking point? Why don't we fix why that is? And then we have to deal at the cellular level. And the first place we go is your biome in your gut. So those are very, very common things. Do we have a payment plan? Well, we don't have a payment plan, but there's two that you have. So you have your credit card that you can use, and you can pay. You only pay 5% on a monthly basis. So that means if you pay $100 bill, you only have a $5 payment, right? So that's one payment plan. The other payment plan is with PayPal that I talked about. Interest free, no payments for 6 months. That'll get the payment plan going for you. And is it FDA approved? You know, this is an interesting thing. Even though we sell inside of doctor offices, you know, the medical community, no food is FDA approved because the FDA doesn't approve any of them. None of the foods for this is FDA approved. The only thing the FDA approved is medical devices for surgery and prescription drugs. Never a food. They don't approve apples and oranges either. So no, it's not, but it's all based on clinical study. Looks like this one's not being, is it gluten-free? Yes. Now we do have some smart foods, things that we didn't talk about. So I know that like we're going to cut your carbs a little bit in our program. And, but we love carbs. I want to have pizza. I love pizza, but an average pizza, personal size pizza, like a 9-inch pizza, they have like, 360 grams of carbs in it, 700 plus calories. Ours tastes like a gourmet pizza. It's absolutely delicious. You can't tell the difference. We make it ourselves using our technology. It has less than 5 grams of carbs in it. It has less than 100 calories versus 700 plus, and it tastes wonderfully. That's going to have some gluten in it. Okay, so we do have products that have gluten, but our meal plan, what you're going to get for the $7.97 or the $3.95 is completely, totally, absolutely 100% gluten-free. Another question. I have a friend who donated her kidney. After donating the kidney, the doctor said she needs to avoid high-protein drinks. Will this cause problems with her kidneys? Okay. One, there's a little bit of disconnect between what qualifies as a high protein drink, and two, she needs to avoid it because the doctor says it'll put stress on her kidneys. Theoretically, yes, there's been studies that show that if you give your kidneys too much protein, it will stress them out. Not only your kidneys, but your livers too. All right. And yes, it can cause some extra problems, but what you want to do is first is increase the quality of your digestion so that She's getting the right protein, because there's not all equal proteins in our foods and where they're coming from. And ours is a lower amount protein. So ours is definitely not a high protein meal. We have 3 different formulas. We have one mix that has 22 grams per serving, another that has 6 grams, and another that has 3 grams of per serving for exactly situations just like this. So for her, I'd recommend starting out with like the 6 gram per serving. We call that the P6 or the P3. That just indicates how many proteins per serving. But absolutely, we have many doctors that prescribe the P6, the P3, and even the P22 to kidney patients or those that have kidney problems. So yes, great question. Looks like that's all the questions we have right now. You've been wonderful. I appreciate your time. You know the problem. Don't put it off any further. This is a great, great offer. Don't lose the opportunity to do something about your health today, because we don't know how many tomorrows we have. I recommend the 797 just simply because it gives you the complete testing, tells you exactly what it is that you need fixed, what it is that needs to be corrected. And so you know what to do. You've heard some great information. Take the time, reclaim your health, get it back. Tell your friends. You know there's people that have these same symptoms, and they've been searching, and they want the same kind of results, the testimonies that I've read. So have them come next week and listen to this program. We'll do it again for them. But for you, don't waste any more time. Get going. Take one of these 2 samples, get going. Let's get this tested. Let's get your body back. Let's get your health back. Let's get your energy back, and let's get your health where it needs to be. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. For those of you that want to do the PayPal credit program, no money for 6 months, no payments, no interest, call the 866-832-3543. It's right there at the bottom of the screen. Ask for the PayPal $797 special. You can do it with the $395 if you want, but you know which one I recommend. You know which one you should do. And we'll check right then. We'll know right then and there. We can run and see if PayPal will get a credit. But if not, then let's put it on a credit card. You've got a 100% money back guarantee from me. I'll even call the credit card company so you don't have to. Love you, care about you. This is a plan. First time in the history of mankind, we have the ability to give you personalized nutrition. I can go on forever. Take care. See you later. Any of those that, by the way, I just thought someone that wants to see this program that wasn't able to make it tonight, you have people already thinking in your mind going, oh, they need to hear this. There'll be a replay, always recorded. We'll send it out tomorrow. You send them the link that we send you, and they can watch the whole thing all over again. You should watch it all over again. This is good stuff. Good night.